Welcome everyone to the EED webinar number 21. It is September 16th, 2020, and our theme today is essential purpose. This is a foundational skill with EED, and it differs from, let's say, other methodologies that work with life purpose, where sometimes the idea of life purpose can get confused with life goals, as if your purpose is something to aspire to or to achieve. EED works with this differently. It works with the idea and the fact that your purpose, your sense of purpose is already innate within you. In fact, you're already on purpose. The point is to become more conscious of it, more aware, to activate the innate strengths within you that make a natural contribution to the world around you with everything that you do. And what we also say is with purpose, that means being on track with your own essence, that you are expressing your essence. It comes with challenges and there are obstacles, but the way we treat that is those obstacles are meant to be there to actually further reinforce your natural strengths. And when you master the lessons that are inherent in those challenges and obstacles, when you learn what they're trying to teach you, it activates new strengths that further feed your sense of purpose, and they make your contributions even deeper, even higher, even more meaningful for you. So we're going to focus on this tool, essential purpose, and all the elements involved with it. What drew you guys here? I'll just ask that very briefly. What drew you here to come and attend the webinars? I know a couple of you I haven't seen for a while, and some of you are new. So just let me know what your first thoughts are here. You can unmute to make your comments. And if you have any questions up front, you can also ask those at this time as well. Anyone?
I can.
Yeah, go ahead, Yvonne.
So, as a purpose has been taking me to very weird places for the past 4 years, and I've lost. I mean, I went into the chaos and I allowed it and so on, and now I'm more into a place of I want to anchor myself again and try to find what is the internal essential purpose that manifests in multiple different ways. Like I've let go of having one purpose that is there. Yeah, but I'm quite lost right now.
Okay. Well, actually, that can be a good place to be because it has lots of questions in the air. You're willing to question, you're willing to challenge everything you thought you knew or believed, and there's an openness. So that is a great place to be. Doesn't feel comfortable, but it can actually make you more fluid and adaptable. And the first thing to do is just keep connecting to your own core vitality, your own sense of resilience. That is key to keeping you grounded despite the chaos or the confusion that might ensue. And this will definitely help you get some answers, get on track. And this webinar does give you some practical tools and ideas to work with after you've seen the whole webinar and you've seen the whole tool. Anyone else? Yeah, Xavi.
Yeah, me. I'm in a very lost moment as well as Yvonne. Even what it's apparently the basic pillars, house, job, couple, everything went away. Yep. So, and lost moment, and at the same time there's a part of me that it's calm, but it's heavy noise. So the essential purpose is trying to come back to that, and what I follow, trying my best, is to follow my first impulse to do something and trust on that.
Okay.
I think this is the path, but very foggy.
Yeah. Okay. Good. If we get time, then I can do a brief demo to illustrate this tool in action. So, you know, I could work with you, Chabi, I could work with you, Yvonne. That's fine. And that will help clarify. You know, I'll explain the tool, I'll show it to you, and then we can demo it. And I'm hoping I'll get time for that. So then you can walk away with even more clarity. And as we go along, all of you, feel free to interrupt me, to ask questions, just simply unmute yourself. Okay, I welcome all your questions and comments throughout. That helps me be more practical, so this is more applicable to you, and it helps you help guide me on what needs to be talked about and explained here. So great. So I kind of already went through what we're discovering. Just to recap it, I'm giving you an overview of essential purpose, which is an EED tool, and how this brings deep meaning to all your daily activities by enhancing your natural strengths. So what this means is there's nothing you have to become. There's nothing you have to aspire to. There's nothing you have to achieve first, and then you're suddenly on purpose. This is more a discovery of how you're already on purpose. And once you become aware of it, then things start to make sense. Things start to pull together. And even when you're doing the dishes, which you think, oh, well, that's just so mundane. But actually, that becomes a contribution to something, to someone, somewhere, including yourself. EED is all about what you give and receive. And it's important that we have this flow of give and receive. A lot of times when we think about, I've got these goals to accomplish, or I've got to be on purpose, we give, but we're not considering what we get back. And that is what replenishes us. So essential purpose actually works like a perpetual loop, where it uses your innate strengths to make a contribution. And so what we're going to show you is some simple ways to discover those unique and natural contributions you make from those innate strengths. They already offer a contribution, which means, again, you don't need to aspire to lofty goals, or you don't need to achieve big accomplishments in order to feel fulfilled. When you are connected to your source, your creative essence, those innate strengths, and you allow them to be activated, there's really nothing you really need to do, because naturally you're making those contributions. So naturally you are on track and on purpose. And that in itself brings meaning to everything you're doing in simple ways. I think where people get mixed up or confused or off track is they think life purpose has to be this big thing. We have to accomplish big things, make a big impact. And there's some methodologies that push for that. And then we think, oh, geez, I'm never going to measure up to myself or what I think I should be. So EED is pulling that back, really taking that back to the most simple level of what are you already naturally doing. And sometimes those things that you're naturally doing, those natural strengths, you've been criticized for in the past, and therefore you start to push them away and think, oh yeah, that's not a good thing. No, I shouldn't really act on those strengths because that got me in trouble before. So what essential purpose really does is bring you back to wholeness in a very simple and foundational way. Then you can, from that sense of purpose and contribution, you can then start creating goals and plans and strategies which feel very aligned to your own natural essence. And like I said, with every contribution, with every path you follow, there will be challenges and obstacles. And I'm showing you how to reconcile those with your sense of purpose or with your strengths so that it makes your purpose even more meaningful. They do not have to stop you or hinder your sense of purpose. And this is where, again, people get in trouble with the life purpose. They think, okay, this is my purpose. It sounds great for me. Everybody should want this as well. And then as soon as that contribution is refused by someone else, or they say, no, I don't want that, suddenly we get discouraged and we think, okay, I'm being rejected. And we start to either get off purpose or get on a crusade where we want everyone to listen to our unique contribution, that it's a good thing. And if they don't want to hear it, well, then I will have nothing to do with you. I've seen that happen where people go on crusades with these life purposes and they start shutting out the world rather than embracing the world. Anybody have comments on that? Does that sound familiar or does that sound strange, what I'm saying here? I see you nodding there, Xavi. So just, what did you have comments on what I said there, or it's okay to disagree as well?
No, it's great to me to hear that, because sometimes, I catch myself with a very big thing, but for example, dignity of people, for me, it's very important to me, touch me, but I don't do anything. Maybe a simple action is what really appealed to me to do, for example, tomorrow, no? I know if what I mean, no? So try to chase big things instead of check how connected you are, and from being, for me, it's a relief, what you said.
Yeah.
Just pay attention on what you are really already contributing just for being who you are, no?
Yeah, exactly. It takes the pressure off for you to be something bigger, better, more, faster, whatever, right? I know a lot of people talk about you have to play a bigger game. That can be good, but it can also be a trap because we keep putting pressure on ourselves to be more than maybe we're ready for, or to be more than necessary. I'm coming from the place that at your essence, you contain everything. You are already all potential. So it's more about purifying the expression of that potential instead of trying to pile on more and more and more to make yourself new and improved. So it's more about acceptance of what is already there. And then you can maximize that in the purest possible way. So it's not about adding or deleting. It's about rediscovery more than anything else.
Troy, if I may say something, listening to Javier, I realized that, sometimes we need to compare with peers. And I don't know, this is like something in the DNA of, and Javier was saying very plain and simple. It was like, whoa, this guy is not competing, is just thinking on his terms. And I realized that I always compete with somebody. If his goal is bigger than mine, my life is fucked up. So I need to do something to have bigger goals. I need to be on a real purpose, not like just like my purpose. My purpose is my purpose, but I need to be on big purpose. So I need to. So I realize when I wake up that everything is there.
Yeah,
like you said, that you don't need anything. No. The only thing you need is to see that you don't need anything. So
right, this does help eliminate that leaning towards competition, because we will naturally get competitive. We'll compare, we'll say he's doing more, she's doing more, or they're doing less, and it creates status. It creates a game in life. Like, you got to play this game. I got to be better, I got to be more, or I am less, I should do more. This takes that away. It neutralizes that and brings you back to your own natural self that is autonomous. It's not dependent on what's happening out there. It's not dependent on who's doing what out there. That's why it's called essential purpose. If we make it about how do I compare to others, that's not your purpose anymore. That's a purpose you're conceiving of, and to how it compares to what everyone else is doing, and it just builds that rat race, that rat wheel that we run on, trying to keep up, and it actually makes us more and more materialistic, and we lose touch with ourselves, with our deeper essence. And so then whose purpose is this for after a while, when you get caught up in that competition? So again, this tool will neutralize that and bring you back to a simple state of being that gets you in touch with your own natural divinity, your higher self, your own source. And then you can allow it to express itself naturally, and you can trust that you are already expressing it naturally. You just keep refining that expression, making it more and more pure. Okay, very briefly, I'll just go over what actually EED is, Emergent Essence Dynamics. I will only spend a minute or two on it. For some of you, you may have not been here before. Others watching the recording may have not heard of EED before. So Emergent Essence Dynamics works with everything in relationship. Everything happens in relationship, and all relationships are following a unique pattern that works in cycles. These patterns repeat and repeat and repeat. They're like fractals. A fractal is a basic pattern that repeats upon itself from the smallest level to the biggest level. So when we're working with people and relationships, when we're working with change and transformation, EED looks at what are the patterns driving the situation right now and driving the people. And when we can hack that pattern, everything changes. When we shift the pattern, the people change and the issues change. So how do we do this? I'll back up here, that EED works with coaching, leadership, mediation, facilitation, healing, anything to do with working in relationship, because we're working with what drives the human dynamics. And we're looking at what are the fundamental patterns driving those dynamics. So when I'm coaching, I'm not driving to transform the client. I'm not driving to improve their lives. I'm looking at what's the patterns, what are the patterns already there, and how can we get the person to drop into a resilient space so that they're more accepting of themselves and their circumstances. And then at that point, we can start shifting the pattern, because they're less fearful, less reactive, they're more autonomous. And then those patterns naturally shift. And so what we're doing is we're bringing people and groups and relationships closer to their natural essence, and then allowing that essence to express itself without interference, without distortions, okay? Fear is the one thing that will start distorting our expression of essence. And the ego takes control, and it's trying to manipulate itself and everything around it. What we do is we neutralize those manipulations through resilience. So what we do is, before any transformation, we focus on resilience. And this goes the same with essential purpose. We start essential purpose from a place of resilience. Then we're looking at what are the core patterns happening as you behave. And we'll start to recognize, oh, there's certain games you're playing with yourself, with others. It's through all your actions and behaviors. It's not what you say, it's what you do. Then from that resilient space, we can start shifting that core pattern into a more pure expression of essence. And then a lot of things, the issues and the person, transform itself to match that pure expression of essence. So therefore, you naturally come up with creative solutions. You naturally begin to work with the circumstances rather than work against them. Most of the time, 98% of resistance to change falls away, and the 2% that's left is really a key for the core transformation that needs to be made. Any comments or questions there? on what EED does. I hope that sounds clear. It was kind of a clumsy explanation, but let's see how that works.
It's really very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like you to repeat the resilience part, how resilience work, and with regards to the pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Resilience is our core vitality. It's our basic life force and our will to live. Many times we get disconnected from that natural resilience because we get obsessed with how will I make sure I exist? Do I even exist? How do I control everything around me so I can have more security? How do I get acknowledgement from others so that I can prove that I exist? These are ego type behaviors, which comes from a disconnection from our essence or infinite source of self. When we get back in touch with source, we get in touch with a more timeless sense of who we are, above and beyond life and the world. This is my permanent self, my unconditional self, the self that lives beyond everything. And that naturally produces a feeling of resilience where I can overcome. No matter what happens, despite all circumstances, I still can live, survive, create. It's resilience that enables us to bounce back, to be flexible, adaptable, and agile. It makes us less reactive to our circumstances where we're struggling to survive, and it makes us cooperate and flow with everything around us because we feel less threatened. And therefore, we're able to work with everything around us so we can create and thrive. So when we're talking about patterns, a lot of those patterns are the reactive patterns, the fear-based patterns, where we're trying to preserve ourselves and survive. And as soon as we inject resilience and source energy into those patterns, they naturally start to shift. Our behaviors change because we no longer have to fight or flee or avoid or protect. And we can actually be in a more cooperative space with ourselves, our relationships, and the world around us. Does that help clarify things more for you, Yvonne?
No, it's very clear. Thank you.
Great, great. So this does relate to purpose. So I've got a circle here. So our essence, it's like we are whole and complete unto ourselves at the level of all potential. And so as we live our lives, life gives us the opportunity to express all facets of that all potential. And so the first place to go is when I'm connected to my own essence, my permanent, timeless, unconditional self. What are the natural strengths that emerge or that I discover? And there are other webinars where we show you how to discover some of those innate strengths or natural strengths, and you can capture it and start to let that energy flow through you. You can embody it. We can distill it down to an essential quality. Some of the main essential qualities may be peace, unity, love, or limitlessness. There are other variations. So let's say my natural strength is I'm a very kind and compassionate person. Okay, so, or I'm a natural communicator, or I'm a warrior. That's my natural strength. I stand up and defend and fight. Okay, now those are not yet quite essential. All right, so you can ask yourself, all right, so if I'm a warrior that's able to stand strong and fight and, you know, protect the underdog or the weak, ask yourself, well, what am I connected to within myself on a timeless level? What is there that enables me to be the warrior? And maybe that moves down a level to, well, I'm connected to everything around me. I'm highly aware. I'm highly empathetic. Or maybe it is, I feel this invincibility within me. Or maybe it's something else. And you can keep asking yourself the question, what feels unconditional here? What is timeless here? What feeds back to my well-being, what is unconditional, and then ask, all right, now what enables me to be that? And that'll take you one step more pure, more pure. You distill those qualities, and I guarantee you, you will land somewhere around peace, love, unity, or limitlessness, or possibly bliss, possibly like an invincibility, but what we call it is invulnerable vulnerability, meaning I can't be harmed and therefore I can be totally open. It's an essential strength, let's say. Or perhaps it's I'm connected to all and everything, or everything feels as one. So that brings you down into that natural essence, and you can localize that into a center in your body. Notice what the sensation is, what it gives to you. Maybe it's an electric feeling, maybe it's a fuzzy feeling, maybe it's a warmth, maybe it's something that feels like, solid or watery, whatever. It's a tangible sensation. And then you can start circulating that through your body. There are other webinars where we go through this. So you can take that natural strength and start to circulate it from head to toe from that central place in your body. And notice what that strength gives you. Stay in the enjoyment of it. Pay attention to how it feeds your well-being. And this is a way to charge up that strength. So perhaps it's, I'm loving and compassionate, or I'm a loving warrior, or I'm a natural communicator that is connected, that connects to the heart of everyone. Whatever that is, you stay with that energy. And as that charges up, what you're going to notice is after a while, it's going to want to share something or contribute something. That energy itself is naturally generous. If I'm a loving warrior, then what I want to do, what that strength wants to do is, let's say, light up the hearts of others, open their eyes to their own strength, or to their own love, or to their own sense of unity, or whatever it is. What is that natural contribution? Maybe it's just simply to awaken their heart or awaken their mind. It's not you. It's not your mind. It's not what you conceive of what I think I'm supposed to do. You follow the energy and see what it wants to do. That's why we call it natural strength and natural contribution. That energy will naturally want to do something. And so it gives freely, that energy, and then it is received by others. And you can notice then, so when I give that energy or to others, what happens in them? How are they affected? How are they transformed? And then think, what does that then give back to me? What does that reinforce within myself? What am I receiving from them? So that you're creating this loop of give and receive. It all started from this internal energy, this natural strength. And when you give it, it has an effect out there, and then that effect comes back to you. So for example, I'm a natural communicator that awakens the minds of others. That brings me back joy and connection with them. For example, I'm just making this stuff up. Okay, so these are the first two elements of essential purpose. Now, in most methodologies, that's pretty much what they follow. Who am I? Who am I being? Okay, and then what impact do I make, or what do I do, and how does that change the world around me? You know, what's my contribution, or what's the thing I do that has a ripple effect? Okay, what they're not really looking at is what does that give back to you? Because when you have this perpetual loop of give, receive, for everything you are and everything you do, it also not only reinforces the world around you, but the world around you reinforces you back, so that your contribution returns to further feed your creativity, your strengths, and your well-being, which then makes your strength even more strong and fluid, which makes your contribution even more sharp or pure. And so it establishes this loop of give and receive. Comments or questions here of what you're seeing so far, or how this is sounding to you? Also, what got triggered within yourself? Where did this take you in your own minds of what is your natural strength and your natural contribution? Just want to take a pause here to hear from you. Yeah, Yvonne.
Yeah, I mean, I felt you gave the example that could apply to me.
Okay.
I feel like the earth is, I feel empathetic, I feel the other.
Mm-hmm.
And I come from Beirut where everyone's fighting with everyone all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And tensions and explosions and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like, but that's the beauty of what you're saying, is that it's taking me to the underlying and to this vulnerable, non-vulnerable. I don't know how you expressed it, but it was beautiful.
Invulnerable vulnerability.
Exactly.
So you can be completely open and you know you'll never be destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you don't have to protect yourself. You don't have to defend. It's a natural, generous strength.
Mm.
Yeah. Keep going, Yvonne. Was there more you were going to say there?
Yeah, something around, but I think that my mind took over right now. So
Okay.
I don't know if I'm still talking from that connected place. Basically, I think this is a nice feedback loop. I feel like when I'm communicating simply somewhere from this place on Facebook, let's say, and that I feel that more and more people are bridging, being more empathetic with refugees, with our differences, with I feel I'm on purpose in a way.
Okay. Now, I'll break into a short demo with you here, just so we can get these two elements in place, the natural strength, natural contribution. So when you go back to that feeling of invulnerable vulnerability, or that strength or invincibility, where does that live within your own body? Where does it feel like this is the center of that energy?
In my heart, for sure.
In your heart. So when you connect with your heart there, what are you enjoying in that place?
It feels like a big hug that includes everyone.
Okay, so a big hug that includes everyone. And what does that give back to you? How does that feed you?
Peace.
Peace. Okay. So when you are in that peace and in that big hug, what feels like the most natural quality that you have or are? What feels like, what is the specific quality or strength you're in touch with in that peace? And just go with first impulse.
The first impulse has a fighting or a warrior quality to it, but it is very gentle.
Okay. So if we used a metaphor, let's say if we, to start this off, I am a natural, gentle warrior, right? How does that sound for you? First reaction, you know,
No.
you can like it or not like it.
No,
That's fine.
Yeah. Of course, it's a no. I'm just wondering if there's a warrior in there or no. Anyway.
Okay, so I'm.
It's a challenger more than a warrior. It's someone
Great.
who said no, actually. Yeah.
Okay, now what I'm going to say is challenger sounds more like contribution because it's a verb. It's action oriented. Do you see? So natural strength is more about what's my natural being. Contribution is from that being, what do I naturally do? So from the warrior place, I challenge. Did you get it? So let's keep that in mind, that challenging may be the natural contribution. So some of the qualities in your natural strength is peace, warrior, and then all connection or all embracing. Now, it could be, say, I'm a natural peaceful warrior who challenges and embraces others. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you go with that and you start challenging and embracing others, what in them are you challenging? What in them are you embracing? And keep coming back to the heart.
Yeah. Let's say exclusion.
Exclusion. Exclusion from what? What feels important there from the heart?
From well-being.
So is that the heart wants the well-being of others, or it wants them to awaken to their well-being? What's going on there?
I mean, ultimately, it's all connected.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you go back to your heart, okay, and you look at Beirut, and you look at what's happening, when you look at the Hezbollah shot some missiles over to Israel, when you look at, there's a peace deal going on between, three Middle Eastern countries. Maybe there could be more. What's happening in your heart right there?
What's happening right now is to tell you that I don't agree with all of these surface peace stuff.
Okay, now stay connected with your heart and ask, what is it that you desire most? What does the heart desire most right now when you say, these are superficial agreements?
To be heard. I want real stories to be heard. I want the integration of all of this blood that's been shed in this parcel of land from all sides.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
I want justice, and I want real peace that flourishes from the hearts of people who really will dance and celebrate together in all languages. I don't want a top-down thing that means nothing and only creates more suffering.
Okay, so now how would it sound? I am a heart warrior that challenges people to tell their stories from all sides.
Yeah.
Willing to spill their blood and feel the blood. It's so we can get everything on the table, so we can get to the real heart of all our cultures, something like that. What speaks to you there?
That's it. I think that's
okay.
it. Yeah.
Okay, now you can just note that, jot that down, okay? Because this is just really rough right now. It's a rough draft. We don't know exactly what it is right now. Now, here's the next thing. There's another element here. What if some people don't want that natural contribution? They refuse it. They say, no, not for me. No, Yvonne, shut up. There's a peace deal on the table right now. We don't need to create more turbulence and challenge and get people's blood on the table. It's just enough that we sign these agreements and we've got the semblance of peace here. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Of course.
So what's your first reaction when people say, no, I don't want that heart stuff. No, I don't want to tell my story. I just want to erase it.
Yeah, I need to accept their processes.
Okay, there. Now,
the laughter, but that's it. That's what I've been dealing with.
Okay, yeah. Okay, now if you can master that and accept their processes, what does that further open in you? What's the new strength that emerges?
Let me go back to my heart.
Yeah. Keep going to your heart. Also feel their resistance. See them refusing.
It breaks my heart to see the cycles repeating. That's
Yes. So here's what I will guess. If you allow your heart to be broken, okay, that's going to weaken your natural strength, probably. And it'll make you work harder at that contribution. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So if you bring in, there's a lesson here that for those that don't want to listen, for those that are refusing your work, your desires, there's a lesson to be learned. So don't look at them as the enemy, but look at that as a teacher. What are they trying to awaken you to? What are they trying to teach you? And if you learned that lesson, what is the new strength that will emerge? So you mentioned acceptance as a possible life lesson, okay? So again, yes, your heart may be broken. Stay with that and accept. What is it to accept the broken heart? And if you can still engage with others, accepting who they are, what they're doing, and accepting your own broken heart, then what happens?
I mind my own business.
Okay, now how is that actually a strength? Or what's the quality in there that allows you to mind your own business? What does that give you?
Humility, in a way.
Humility, okay. And then when you possess humility, what then is activated in you?
I guess more focus.
Okay. And what's it like to have that kind of focus? What does that bring you?
Contribution where I can contribute, actually.
Okay, so right there you say, I can contribute. So what's that ability right there? What enables you to can contribute? What are you connected to right there? It's very, very subtle.
Yeah.
Because you suddenly popped into a belief, actually, I can contribute, as opposed to, I'm supposed to contribute or something else. What allows you or enables you to have that belief, that knowing, I can? What does that feel like to have that?
It feels like it's in my scope. It doesn't depend on others in a way or another.
Okay, so you have more autonomy. You have more belief in self, or what's it? True, not true? When you have that independence, if we call it independence or autonomy, how does that then reinforce your heart, your natural strength? What does it give the heart?
Belief.
And then and so how does that affect the heart now? Now that there's belief, what happens in the heart?
There's more fuel, actually.
More fuel. And what kind of fuel is that?
It's love.
Love. Okay. So, and from that love, then what's it like to challenge the stories, get the stories on the table? What now is it like to make that contribution?
More unattached.
More unattached. And as you make that contribution, you're hearing the stories, you're seeing everyone in their different processes. What's it like now to learn humility and acceptance?
A wisdom cycle.
There's a wisdom. So then there's what comes out is more wisdom, more independence, more belief in yourself. And how does that affect your heart?
Yeah, it's smiling.
It's, so there's even joy in there or something. True, not true?
Yeah, I mean.
So
there's the hope.
There's a hope.
The hope.
Okay, great. So then, there's hope. Hope and wisdom could be the new strength, okay? Or even faith. So you can jot these you can write these 4 points or elements down for yourself, Yvonne, and then on your own, you can string them together very rapidly. And it can sound something like this. So I am a natural warrior of the heart who challenges people to tell the truth of their stories in order to make real peace. This teaches me to learn humility and acceptance, which awakens wisdom and belief in myself and in others. Something like that. And that reinforces the love in my heart. Does that make sense? So what we want to do is connect all of these 4 and then go round and round and round, and you can start to say it quite rapidly to yourself, feeling into it, how they all connect. This is my natural strength. It makes this natural contribution. That teaches me to learn this. That awakens this strength, which further feeds my strength. And you go around and around and around. And the more rapidly you do it, as you're feeling it through, the words may change and they may surprise you. But what it does is it gets it more and more simple and more pure, so that this isn't a mental concept. It's a felt concept from that center. Does that make sense? So that's how essential purpose works. It not only has you tap into what you are naturally at your essence and the natural contribution or the natural desire that brings about, it also acknowledges the challenges and obstacles you will face as you make the contribution. And it looks at that as, this is a lesson to learn, as opposed to fight the challenge. It's embrace the challenge and let it teach you something, knowing that it's going to awaken another strength that further feeds your contribution. But it makes it more 3-dimensional. It makes it more well-rounded, makes it more grounded. And then it becomes more true, because your life purpose is not then dependent on people who agree with you.
Yeah.
You can work with the people that also disagree with you, and you can build bridges so that your contribution goes everywhere. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Comments or questions here on what we're seeing and what I've demonstrated? Thanks also, Yvonne, for being a spontaneous demo client.
Mutual thanks.
Thoughts or comments here on how this is working and how this all works together? Yeah, Chubby.
Yes, when the point of the life lesson, I mean, it's hard to see that. Well, a lot of things. No, the first thing is how to transform a rejection, for example.
That's right.
That can touch your basic bone.
Yes.
And what I mean, that immediately you feel like dead or without sources or weak or lost or even protect you and
Yeah.
I mean, how this to transform it to make it rich, no? So to build from that. For me, that's very surprise. A more healthy to see from that point of view and not get attached to the vow, no? That
Yes.
Someone touched me, instead of being there attached to using that as a car, no? As a bicycle, as a way to move on, no?
Yes. What this does is, okay, so natural strength and natural contribution feel very fulfilling and idealistic. It feels very ideal. But if we're only focused on that, then we're setting ourselves up to be dependent upon the world agreeing with our strength and contribution, okay? And then if it disagrees, it puts us in reactive mode, we lose our resilience, and we have to push the contribution even more. We go on a crusade, or we have to fight for it or fight back, or we just say, screw you, I'm going somewhere else,
Exactly.
right?
Avoid it.
We avoid, yeah. So then it's not a true contribution. It's not truly generous. It's not truly unconditional in that sense. So, but this is the easiest place to start. What's my natural strength, natural contribution? Allow yourself to feel so good and great and fulfilling here. And when you got that established, then you ask, what happens when it's rejected, when it's crushed, when it's pushed away? This counterbalances that idealism, okay? What happens when I make this contribution to my enemies? What do my, how do I react to my enemies, so to speak, right? And the place to go is stay in that center of resilience and ask yourself, what are my enemies trying to teach me? Or what are they asking me to pay attention to? Or what are they trying to awaken within me? Come from the assumption that they'd love to receive your contribution, but you're not speaking their language yet. What is it you have to learn to bridge over into their world? Does that make sense? Because they would be, at their essence, happy to receive your contribution, but in the moment, it feels threatening to them. So what do you need to pay attention to in order to be more connected with them, so that contribution can come through? And for you to be okay that your contribution is rejected, it doesn't destroy you, nor does it take you off purpose, okay? When that lesson is mastered, okay, and a lot of times what most people say is humility or acceptance or patience or something, okay, or to listen more or to open my heart and be empathetic. Could be any of those things. When I've mastered that, what does that produce? That allows a new strength to come alive. And so pay attention to, when I learn the lesson of humility, now what's available? What springs forth? That's your new strength. Allow yourself to be surprised what that is. And then that will affect the natural strength. How does this new strength reinforce my natural strength? And then what shifts in the contribution? And as the contribution shifts, now what is the lesson? And when that lesson is mastered, what's that new strength? How does that reinforce the natural strength? And you just keep going around and around. So the life lesson is what counterbalances the contribution to bring you back to a more human level, so that your contribution will become richer, because it's through the life lesson that you discover the strength. Here's the interesting thing. The contribution sets you up for a lesson so that you can discover the new strength. Without that lesson, that strength would never awaken, or it would be false or superficial. Do you understand? You need to go through the lesson to discover the strength and integrate it. And that further feeds a stronger contribution, which makes the lesson even stronger, which makes the new strength even more awake and alive. Do you see how this compounds, how it builds? This is what allows you to evolve. And there's nothing you need to accomplish here except paying attention and being in action from your natural strength and essence, and being aware of the lessons that are presented. Go ahead, Yvonne. Did you want to say something here?
No, powerful. It's powerful.
What makes it powerful for you? What stands out here?
Because I've been in a block, in a place where it's like a scary place for me to go back to my purpose, let's say, feeling like I'm communicating and opening up and so on. It felt very scary because there was a lot of violence. And so now what you're giving me is it gives me courage to go back and to do some inner reflections a little bit before, so that I don't maybe throw myself all in rapidly and
Great.
extensively.
Okay.
But it's an interesting place to be in,
What?
absorbing this life lesson.
So here's a question you can take with you then, as an inquiry into the life lesson. If you are able to master the ability to accept violence and see into the pure heart of someone, yeah, what does that awaken in you? Or what would be your new ability? And even what was your first reaction there? Yeah.
No, my first reaction is that this is exactly what I talk about when I talk about, like, when I'm talking about two groups of people that have been making so much violence to each other.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm asking them to accept each other, between brackets, asking them. I mean, the ultimate thing is that at the end of the day, we're going to forgive each other, all of us humans, and keep going. And
All right.
exactly the life lessons that I'm getting.
Great. So part of the life lesson is to accept violence. What is that, and what is that special thing you got to master so you can accept violence, right? Maybe it's the humility, maybe it's the acceptance, maybe it's something else. And then you have the ability to inspire or have wisdom or to the ability to forgive, but the forgiveness may be the ultimate contribution you're making, is facilitating forgiveness. Who knows? So these are things you can think about here. Does that make sense now? But if you walk into these things without being able to accept violence, notice how limiting it will be to have discussions with people, because you're going to constantly want to shut down that violence because it will look like you're getting off purpose. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. That's why the life lesson is so key. It counterbalances. And ironically, it makes your contribution even more strong and pure without even trying. And that takes you off being on a crusade with others, okay? Because what ends up happening is, as people reject you, you reject them back, and then really nothing gets accomplished. So I just want to sum up here, and then we can get your final thoughts. So regarding essential purpose, your innate and natural strengths come from essence. They don't come from your mind, they come from your essence. And they are always at work they're feeding your natural resilience all the time. So even if you want to say, what are some of my natural strengths? You can look back through your whole life and say, okay, so I've met many challenges and obstacles, but what got me through that? What enabled me to persevere or sustain? What was that particular strength that got me through? I didn't crush and crumble. I didn't die. I made it through. And maybe I don't like that strength, or maybe other people don't like that strength, but it was always there. And it was the thing that kept my will to live alive. It kept me moving forward. So you want to look at that. That's another way to find what the natural strength is. It's innate, it's natural. Then you can purify it by reconnecting it with essence. When you connect to the enjoyment of that natural strength, how it feeds your well-being, and it just seems to amplify and magnify, it naturally wants to radiate, and it wants to radiate a contribution. It has a desire to contribute. Notice what that is. The contribution comes from the strength. It doesn't come from your mind, it comes from the strength. Remembering that when that strength is activated, there's nothing you need to accomplish. The contribution is a natural extension of that strength. So by being connected with the strength, you're already making the contribution, okay? There's nothing extra you have to do. That's really important to understand. And then once you understand the contribution, then you can start noticing what are the challenges or the obstacles, okay? Pay attention to what the obstacle is trying to awaken in you. What's the lesson it wants you to learn? What's it trying to teach you? What does it want you to pay attention to? And it's through that contribution that you will recognize life lessons. And when you master those life lessons, they purify your strengths. It awakens a new strength, okay? So when you tackle the life lesson and master it, a new strength emerges, and that new strength will further feed and reinforce your natural strength. The two work together. And then that strengthens, amplifies, or purifies the contribution you make. And it just becomes more and more and more aligned with pure essence, right? So when you work those four elements together, all your daily activities take on more meaning and purpose. Okay, like you can do the dishes, Yvonne, with heart, all right, with humility, with acceptance. You know, the dish slips out of your hand, breaks on the floor. It's like, well, that was violence. I can learn to accept that. And, you know, do you get it? So that's kind of a stupid example, but I'm just saying that you don't have to go out and, you know, do, you know, big peacemaker ceremonies or anything. You know, it can be just walking down the street, just meeting somebody at a restaurant, just, you know, glancing at a stranger, and already that same energy is at work, all right? So that you don't have to look for special opportunities. It's always available. And therefore your daily life becomes a constant unfolding of your whole potential from essence. You recognize that the world is participating. It gives you opportunities to contribute, and it gives you opportunities to learn those life lessons as you make the contribution. So remember, natural strength, natural contribution, the lesson to learn, and the new strength that comes out of that lesson. Run all four of those together in rapid succession, and keep it, you know, simple, 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 so that it can be one pure thought. I am this, that does this, that teaches me to learn this, which awakens this in me and in others. That new strength, by the way, awakens in all of us. So, just to let you know, our next webinar is on September 30th, and the theme is managing stress, fear, and anxiety, and that is working more specifically with resilience and our reactive behaviors and how we can neutralize them. So that relates well to what we were talking about today with purpose, but we're looking really at the fear and anxiety and stress that we can cause ourselves, and how to make it work with us or for us as opposed to against us. And we have coming up another module 1, revealing essence. This gives you the foundation of building the resilience, accessing that energy loop, that vertical energy loop of essential qualities, and how to bring resilience into relationships. It gives you the whole foundation of those skills, and that's from October 9th to 11th. It's online. And you can go to our Eventbrite site, eed-eu-2020.eventbrite.com, to register or get the information on it. And we still have some places available. And you guys will get a recording of this webinar, and I'll also send you a discount code so you can save 25% off that module if you're interested to take it. And Chabi already took all the EED courses, and so feel free to come and assist if you're available on those dates, Chabi. So think about that too, because we'd love to have a few more assistants come in. You know, feel free to stay in touch with me. Check out our YouTube channel at EE Dynamics. There you can get replays of past webinars. I take some of the more pertinent webinars and I keep them on the YouTube channel in the public arena. You can always visit our website, essence-dynamics.com, or email me, info@essence-dynamics.com. And so I'd love to hear your closing remarks from everyone, what you're taking away, what feels inspiring, what are key points that you've learned as we close. Yeah, Chubby.
For me, I take a big relief. Yeah, so don't get attached to that. Yeah, it's a big relief because and a new point of view from some topics that I struggle with.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, the life lesson I missed that point. No, I just get stuck there. But in general, a big relief. So, and I'm willing to reconnect. So,
Excellent.
thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Anyone else? Yvonne, Cesar, Dina? Yeah.
Well, Troy, I will be very brief. It's like, you know, one pandemic storm after upon our souls and
Yeah.
identities. It's like an event that makes you reconnect with yourself and makes you wonder why the heck everything is happening. It's
Yeah.
with a purpose, and the purpose is to find yourself. So um, it reconnects you with everything in context and everything around you,
Yeah.
and makes you more sensitive to whatever it happens around you and also inside of you. So it's like a soul pandemic, COVID-19.
Yeah. Yeah, this year has been pretty turbulent for many, many, many people, for all of us. Everything is going up and down. It feels like chaos. So we can choose to think, hey, life is an enemy. The pandemic is an enemy to me. Okay, we can also think of it as a strange ally. Okay, yeah, I don't like what's going on, but what if what's happening out there does have my best interest at heart? It's being benevolent. It's shaking me up to pay attention to something. So if you find the resilience within yourself to say, what is this trying to awaken? You stay engaged with life and don't feel so victimized by it. You may not like what it's trying to awaken you to, but in the end, it makes you a more expanded and evolved person. It may mean you have to shed some beliefs, let some things go, and take on something else or something new. But stay within your essence. So life can be a strange ally as opposed to your enemy. And once we find the resilience to see it as an ally, as a teacher, it brings more relief. And we can reconcile ourselves with our world and our circumstances, and then we can get back in the game to be co-creative as opposed to reactive. And we'll feel less and less like puppets. Yeah. Anyone else? So,
much. This was really powerful for me personally, and I've spoken enough. But that's
okay, excellent, Yvonne, and thank you again for your participation to help me demo this tool, to demo essential purpose together with you and with everyone. So thank you again, everyone. Thank you for those listening to the recording. Please join us on September 30th for our next webinar, and consider joining us for EED Module 1, Revealing Essence, on October 9th to 11th online. And until then, keep brilliant, keep radiant, and enjoy life.